Occasionally, life directs us to unusual and unique crossroads where two seemingly lost souls reunite with one another. In the most unexpected ways, this is Michael's story. A war veteran wearing battle scars and wrecks. A working dog in the military at the harshest of times, who was by his side. A bleak winter day was the first of all. Upon receiving information about Rex, Michael, his original loyal partner, currently abandoned at a former training center, Rex was more than just a dog to Michael. Rex, the person who had saved his life, was a comrade. In times of unspeakable peril, however, when they reconnected, it was a painful realization for Michael. Rex no longer knows who he is. The eyes that had once been bright were now filled with fear. Moreover, intense emotional scars, however. The tale doesn't stop there. The trip of Rex and Michael would force them to confront historical secrets. The battlefield's ghosts and strong forces ready to do what it takes to keep the truth hidden. Throughout the journey, the power of friendship would be rediscovered by them. Loyalty in the face of overwhelming odds. Persistence. Come along with me as we explore Michael and Rex's world, to observe how these two fighters, the deepest wounds of a man and a dog, are healed, and write a glowing story of courage and love. Even in the most gloomy of circumstances, now they start their journey. The winter sun filtered the pale. Through a small frosted windows tucked up at the forest's edge is a wooden cabin. A retired veteran, Michael Carter, creaky wooden chair with sat motionless in it. A cup of cold coffee was untouched in his hands. The countryside's tranquility was insufficient to soothe the battlefield's remaining memory. It lingered in his thoughts. Photos of deathly comrades, the deathly rage of explorations, and the brightest of all, Rex, the military working dog's warning eyes, who was his steadfast partner. During the most trying times, the phone's sudden ringing returning Michael to the present. He looked at the name mark on the screen. A previous comrade glanced on the screen, pressing the answer button. Michael, when he answered the phone, his voice was husky. "Michael, you must listen to this." Mark paused as though he was carefully selecting his words. "This week, Rex is going up for execution." The old training center Michael was hit by Rex, the name like a gust of wind, reviving memories that he had long attempted to bury. Tightly holding the phone, "Are you sure our Rex?" He sounded shaky. "Yes," Mark verified. "A few years ago, he left the military. However, they now intend to decommission him." Nothing else was said by Michael, silently ending the call through him. A mixture of distress and rage surges. Rex, the courageous dog who had often saved his life, being decreased to a commodity, a thing to throw away. Michael's old pickup truck's engine ran. Upon spitting down the dirt road that leads to the acoustic center, gripping the steering wheel, his knuckles tensed. He was thinking about the battlefield. He recalled his first encounter with Rex. A sharp young Malinois, perceptive eyes, the faintest sound made the ears perk up. Rex wasn't just a dog for work. He has a strange intuition. A sixth sense, seems to be able to detect danger vividly. Michael called the first time they were paired together as a team. Rex had rushed directly to him. He rested his head on Michael's leg and waggled his tail. As though he was inspired, I was aware that he would be dating this man. During the early days of the war, more than just a fighter, Rex was the anchor of Michael. A resource of power in the middle of the chaos, a single memory. Starkly, the afternoon was smoky and chaotic. When a desolate area ambushed Michael's unit, adjacent to every side, thunder-like gunfire echoing the circumstances appeared hopeless. Rex sprang into action, suddenly loudly barking. To deter the enemy, his courage allowed the unit to regroup during those priceless moments and evade annihilation by counterattacking sparingly. The look in Rex's eyes was something Michael would always remember. That day, packed with tenacity and unwavering devotion, getting close to the auction center, a barren lot at the road's end, ringed by tall rush fences. Getting out of the truck, Michael, the chilly, unwelcome air that was biting his face, the air was filled with the sound of barking. Unrelenting and chaotic, walking past rows of cages, Michael anxiously, his eyes searched for a familiar face. Then he caught sight of him. Rex lay still in a cage's corner. Previously proud, his coat is now dull and unkempt. Sorrow clouded his eyes. Michael froze, his heart throbbed, as though it had been squeezed by a vice. Originally tall and fearless, Rex was now his former self-shadow. Michael Rex whispered. Rex raised his head and gave his ears a slight twitch. However, he refrained from leaping at Michael. The veteran's imagination, the dog, just stared at him instead. His eyes were full of unfamiliarity. Reaching between the cold steel bars, Michael knelt down. I'm Rex, and I didn't get closer. Rather, he stood, retreated a step, and uttered a low and wary growl. Michael's heart broke. A staff person accessed. You know this dog? His tone curt. He is no longer the same person. Years have gone, and this one, he doesn't know who anyone is. Regardless of Rex's response, Michael was unable to leave him there. Michael finally paid for the tense auction. Much more than he had anticipated, however. It made no difference because Rex wasn't a possession. On the drive home, he was with his family. With his gaze fixed on the window, Rex lay in the back seat. Totally ignoring Michael, he wasn't blamed by Michael. Both of them had been altered by war and time. He was aware that fixing what had happened would take time. Broken in the spirit of Rex, Michael led Rex into the yard when they got home. Rex moved cautiously, hesitating at every turn. He seemed to be reading on foreign soil. The living room was furnished with a soft bed by Michael. Rex, however, standed. His tired eyes would never leave Michael. Choosing to give Michael space above the world outside, fell silent that night. At the window, Michael heard a faint scratching sound. Upon rising, he discovered Rex standing on the porch. Eyeing the darkness over the yard, Rex's eyes glowed softly, sharp and alert, as if he could sense a threat that only he could. Michael took his time, attempting to reassure him. It's all right, Rex, even though you're safe here. Rex turned to stare at him. Fear and mistrust furnished his eyes. Michael continued to feel helpless. However, he silently vowed to do whatever it took. He was not going to give up on Rex. Not just for him, he would bring him back. However, to the bond they had previously shared. When Michael woke up the following morning, he felt lighter. The curtains filtering the pale sunlight, however, the tiny cabin felt chilly and lifeless. Rex was curled up in the living room's corner. His tired eyes were half open, watching every move Michael made. Michael reflected about himself. At my feet, he used to sleep. During those evenings on the field of battle, he now gives me a strange look. Chosen to take the first action, Michael made the decision to allow Rex to freely explore. The front door opened by him, reached the porch, and took a seat on the wooden steps. Invitation to leave the door ajar. Carefully, Rex stepped outside. His eyes are sweeping the area. He sniffed the air and walked slowly over the grass that was soaked in dew. Michael sat as still, allowing Rex to examine his new surroundings. Early morning, the sun didn't seem to be able to lift the weight. The dog was lingered over. Upon Rex's initial exploration of the garden, Michael tried a traditional method. Upon returning inside, he found an old rubber ball. Years ago, Rex's favorite toy. Gently, he tossed the ball across the yard. However, Rex merely stood and observed. He lost sight of the excitement they had once had. The ball was picked up by Michael, knelt down, and went closer to Rex. Rex, do not forget this, he whispered. This was our game. His throat catching his voice, however, Rex remained still, as if the joyful memories had been erased entirely. Over the imminent days, Michael started observing peculiar actions in Rex. The dog frequently woke up at night, either whimpering softly or scratching at the windows. Rex would occasionally abruptly bolt upright around the house and dart as if in a panic and searching for something. Whenever Michael attempted to get close, Rex would develop and then retreat. Fear filled his eyes. Cleaning out an old storage box, one evening, I dropped a coil of rope onto the floor by accident. Rex was startled by the loud thud. Who leapt it up, rushed to the room's corner, and curled up with a ball. Softly growing as though under threat with the realization sinking in, Michael stood still. Rex had more than just physical scars. He has a deep wound to his soul. Michael made a decision. He needed to find out more about Rex's situation. Following their time together in the armed forces, he grabbed his phone and dialed Mark. Identical comrade, who told him that Rex was at the auction. Mark, are you aware of what transpired with Rex? Following his reassignment, Michael made an urgent request. On the other Yendi, Mark signed following our unit's disbandment. Rex was moved to a different facility. However, I've heard that they didn't merely train him there. They carried out psychological tests, assisting old dogs like Rex. The simulated gunfire, harsh drills, physical mistreatment as, well, many of them were broken by them. A wave of anger and disbelief washed over Michael. Rex surged through him. My true partner, who helped save lives, was decorated to a cruel experiment topic. Why we were unaware of this, because they were covering it up. Michael's voice trembled. However, I sent you some files. Examine them. You could discover some answers. Replied Mark. Michael checked his email quickly and accessed the records. These classified reports were sent by Market. Extensive extreme training programs and research performed on old military dogs. Michael's blood became cold after reading one note. Rex reacts seriously to loud sounds of metal and displays panic symptoms when exposed to ropes or even darkness. These are probable signs of trauma. On the field, supported, Michael felt as though someone had struck him in the chest. Not only had Rex endured the horrors of war, he had experienced cruel treatment. Afterwards, Michael made the decision to assist Rex in conquering his fears. He started looking at treatment alternatives. For PTSD-strike dogs, he was sent to the doctor by a friend in veterinary medicine, animal behavior specialist Rachel. The following week, Rachel went to see Michael and Rex. She caught a glimpse of Rex from afar, taking thorough notes on his actions. A few hours later, she gave her insights. Not only is Rex physically scarred, the memory haunts his mind. The most crucial factor is patience. Avoid making him remember you, or turn into the dog he was. Allow him to rediscover self-confidence. Rachel recommended beginning with small walking Rex in quiet and other stress-free activities, avoiding loud noises and opening spaces. Additionally, she encouraged every day Michael will play with Rex. Even though the dog didn't react immediately, a late afternoon, Michael made the decision to take Rex for a forest walk. He picked a route they had previously traveled together. Rex trailed behind. At first, his eyes are frantically examining the surroundings. However, as they went more into the forest, after sniffing the grass, Rex started to relax. For the first time in days, his ears perked up. He appeared to be more like himself. When they came to a stop at a small stream, Michael took a seat. He took the rubber ball out of his pocket. Gently, he tossed it into the water in the window. Rather than standing motionless this time downstream, Rex watched the ball drift. He waded slowly into the water. He used his mouth to pick up the ball and returned it to Michael. Michael's emotions overcame him. Talking unable, it was just a small ACT. However, to him, a glimpse of the bond they formerly shared was shown, an indication that recovery was possible. Despite the fact that Rex had begun to show signs of improvement, the hardest time was still at night. The tiniest communications in the home seems to cause invisible frights in him. Often the sound of Rex growing jolted Michael away. The dog would stand by the window in the dark, directly lounging into the night like facing an unseen enemy. Michael approached cautiously and placed a hand delicately on Rex's shoulder. Rex, however, flinched a tense gaze. I turned toward him. Michael stepped back. A results of that. I'm Rex. Michael whispered, calm down. Working slowly to soothe him, Rex crouched with his subsiding growth. However, He kept his eyes fixed on the shadows outside. On these nights, Michael came to terms with not all of Rex's fears were external. He was battling mental ghosts. Memories Michael was unable to reach one day. Michael chosen to try another way to get in touch with Rex. He pounded an ancient chest and founded the military vest with tatterns things Rex used for the field. The vest was donning, its fabric was strewn everywhere. However, it carried the burden of their shared past. The vest was brought out by Michael, setting it up in front of Rex. Rex didn't react at first. However, when Michael put it on the floor, Rex accessed slowly. After sniffing the vest, he froze. His throat emitted a low whine. His eyes glowed with an unfathomable joy. With a hand on his head, Michael knelt beside him. "Don't you remember? What we did together was this." His voice was heavy with emotion as he spoke. Rex didn't pull away, but he didn't answer either. Michael had a vivid and unsettling dream that night. He saw Rex standing in a dense forest in his dream, viewing a soldier group transporting within the underbrush. When the gunfire erupted, Rex charged ahead. Unflinching bravery in shielding the squad. However, Rex was dragged away from the scene. Echoing panic barks considering he was cut off from the team. With a start, Michael woke up. His heart was racing as he realized that Rex, as if the agony of separation haunted him. Resolute to comprehend what Rex had suffered, Michael made contact with a former commissary who had worked with the K9 team in their unit. He was shocked by what he found. "Following your evacuation from that mission kept at the forward base was Rex." What the soldier said, he was given a new assignment to assist with a high-risk operation. However, based on what I heard, the whole dog team contributing to that mission experienced severe psychological trauma on numerous occasions, and a few did not return. A sharp pinch was felt in Michael's chest. He kept wondering what had happened to Rex. After he departed, he was unable to shake the thought that maybe he ought to have remained. Even though he was aware that it wasn't his decision, one night in the forest walking a Rex, the dog stopped abruptly and remained motionless. He picked up his ears. He fixed his gaze on a shadowy area between the trees. Despite following his gaze, Michael saw nothing. "Rex, what is it?" he inquired, but Rex didn't answer. Rather, he started to grow. Then, with a sudden surge of energy, he bounded forward. Michael gripped the leash tighter. The dog struggled as Rex was pulled back, loudly barking as if confronting an unseen adversary. The forest was scanned by Michael. His spine is running with a chill. The air seemed oppressive and heavy. And through the trees, a chill breeze whispered. He was able to calm Rex and allow him to return home. However, along the walk, Rex continued to glance at his shoulder. Weariness filled his eyes. Michael sat by himself that night, visualizing the scene again. A superstitious man was not him. However, the uneasy atmosphere in the forest asked him questions. Is there anything I can't see with Rex? On the following day, Michael made the decision to go back to the forest, letting Rex take the lead. This time the dog moved for a reason, like he knew exactly where he was headed. They went farther into the forest, adhering to narrow trails Michael had never priorly explored. Rex finally quit in a clearing. He started digging frantically, clawing at the damp earth with his paws. Michael joined him on his knees. They had previously discovered a rusted piece of metal, a thing that seemed to be a piece of military gear. Michael picked it up and gave it a close inspection. "What is this, Rex?" Even though he knew Rex couldn't respond quite yet, he still asked. It was evident from the dog's intense focus on the object. On the way back, this was crucial. After the discovery, Michael couldn't stop thinking about it. It appeared that the object was a remnant of the past. Rex was aiming to explain. It was decided by Michael to take it to Mark. "I'm hoping it holds the secret to comprehension." What had become of Rex during his last job? Michael drove to Mark's house the following morning. With the rusted in the forest, he and Rex had unearthed a piece of metal. Nestled in the suburbs is Mark's house. contained old maps and military memorabilia affixed to the walls. Upon receiving the fragment from Michael, he observed that Mark's expression had changed. His expression turned grim. A military radio device contains this, Mark said, carefully analyzing the fragment. Special Operations Unit belated to IT. It appears to have been destroyed. But for more information, I can look up the serial number. Mark at his desk, entering the serial number that has been engraved into an old minutes later. Military database. The results of the search. Mark gazed at the display, Michael's jaw tightening. Are you aware of what this means? A special unit is connected to this fragment, deployed immediately following our withdrawal. Military dogs like Rex were used for a mission that is classified. The team lost all communication after the mission failed. One of the few survivors may be Rex. Michael felt a chill run down his spine. The story's fragments began to come together. A battle-scarred working dog. Rex wasn't. He had survived a much more terrifying ordeal. Michael made the decision to speak with Dr. Rachel, the specialist in animal behavior, to learn more about Rex's strange actions. He told her Rex's reactions in the forest, a detail, and the metal fragment they found. Rachel paid close attention as her eyebrows furrowed. Following a lengthy silence, she said, Michael, Rex has more than just battlefield memories. It is doable. Something beyond human perception is causing him to react. Sometimes animals can sense things that humans cannot. Frowned. Michael, is it possible that Rex is seeing ghosts? The remnants of Rachel's past were thoughtfully knotted. The shadows of his past could be it. Things or people he can't let go of. His anxiety and growth imply that he is attempting to convey a crucial message. We must figure out how to better comprehend him. Using a heart rate was what Rachel suggested, and a device for emotional monitoring to monitor Rex's actions under different conditions. Moreover, she proposed Rex is bringed back to the forest by Michael for further observation, and one afternoon, Rachel and Rex went back to the forest. Rex saw anxieties as soon as they stepped into the woods. His ears perked up, and his eyes quickly scanned the trees. The monitoring device was attached to Rex's collar by Rachel and permitted him to take the lead. Rex led them to the same location in a flash. Where they had been prior to this, he barked loudly this time and started immediately clawing at the ground. A glance at the monitor from Rachel observed the spike in Rex's heart rate, a sign of extreme stress. Michael tried to stay calm while kneeling next to Rex. Rex, what is it? Show me how. Softly, he urged. Rex abruptly stopped barking. He fixed his gaze on a dense thicket nearby. The trees were blew by a gust of wind, and Michael noticed that the air was getting heavier than usual. Amid the eerie quiet, he believed he faintly heard his name called. Like it was flew on the wind, Michael couldn't sleep that night. He was deeply unsettled by what had happened in the forest. After he drifted off for good, he was consumed by vivid dreams. He saw himself alongside Rex on a battlefield. Through the chaos, a voice could be heard. A common voice, the call from a fallen comrade to him during the dream, I in the wilderness. Rex guided him to a bunker. Signs of a fierce battle were observed inside Michael. Broken equipment and spent bullet casings, and in the middle of the space among the debris is a burned notepad. With a start, Michael woke up. Sweat dampens his shirt. The bunker in his flash felt too genuine to be dismissed as a fantasy. Is it possible that Rex was attempting to share a memory? Resolute to explained the reality. The following day, Michael and Rex went back to the forest. Equipped with a metal detector and a shovel directed by Rex's inspirations, and the dream recollected by Michael, they started digging. At the location where Rex was fixed after digging for an hour, they uncovered a metal door that was rusted. Buried beneath soil layers, Michael pried it open with care. A dark tunnel growing undergroundly is exposed. Rex descended into the passage without hesitation. He seemed to have a precise idea of where it led. A tiny room was found at the end of the tunnel. The one in Michael's dream is remarkably similar. The scorch marks on the walls and the air was unsettlingly still and heavy. And in the room's corner, a charred notebook that Michael saw. He carefully picked it up and opened it. A shiver spine was sent down by the first line. The mission of Unit 9 failed, not a single survivor. As he continued to read, Michael's hands shook. A classified operation was detailed in the notebook. Rex and other military dogs are involved. The purpose was changed, resulting in devastating defects. The only one to survive was Rex. The dimly lit room was where Michael was staying. The notepad weighed a lot in his hands. He glanced down at Rex, who was quietly sitting next to him. "Didn't you carry this?" When Michael spoke, his voice broke. "You made it through, but at what cost?" Michael had a profound sense of resolution as they departed the bunker. To assist Rex in confronting his past ghosts, he at last comprehended the war wasn't the only aspect of Rex's tragedy. It has to do with the unbearable weight of being the only one to live in the shadowed underground room. Michael sat, the blacked-out journal in his hands. A horrible story was disclosed in the resulting pages. A covert special operations team, Unit 9, had service dogs like Rex in use on a perilous zone infiltration mission. However, the operation had gone horribly wrong. An unknown force ambushed the team. All members dead apart from Rex. The journal's final lines removed Michael's breath. Despite having survived, Rex is no longer whole. He is no longer himself. We suspect that he saw things that were not possible. Things. Michael looked up at Rex that we are unable to explain. He had his gaze fixed on the dog sitting next to him, as though he were being urged to comprehend something. Charmingly, Michael whispered as he put his hand on Rex's head. "I understand, Rex. I am aware of the struggles you have had at home." Michael contacted Mark and imparted all of his knowledge. With a resigned sigh, Mark listened to his heavy voice. "I am aware of some parts of this story, Michael. However, everything pertaining to Unit 9 is sealed. You will need to face people if you want answers. Who does not want to uncover the truth?" Without hesitation, "Michael, I can't allow Rex to continue to endure this suffering. If a person is in charge, they will be required to pay Mark." A list of names relating to the project was sent to Michael. One person was identified as Dr. Alan Kessler, the principal psychologist for research on wartime, the facility, due to the sentence of Rex regardless of the danger. Michael made the decision to confront him. Currently retired, Dr. Kessler lived in an opulent home on the town's outskirts. Michael's knock on the door. The man gave a wary scowl in response. "Why are you here, and who are you?" With suspicion, Kessler demanded that his voice be egged. Michael was right on the money. He set the journal and metal tag on the table. "This is Rex, and my name is Michael Carter. After survival in Unit 9, the service dog, I must know the truth about what actually transpired during that mission." The sight of the journal caused Kessler's face to flush. He sank into a chair after a prolonged period of silence. Regret fills his eyes. "You don't comprehend the care. It was a top-secret mission. Because of their resilience, dogs like Rex were selected. However, we had no idea what they would encounter." Michael was unable to control his anger. "You made Rex an experiment in the lab and left him alone when everything failed. Do you know what has been going on for him?" His voice trembled as Kessler lowered his head. "I do, yet I am powerless to alter the past. I just want to say I'm sorry." An apology did not satisfy Michael. He continued to pull Rex with him. However, he was aware that Kessler was only a cog in a much bigger culpability machine. That evening, there was a call from an unknown number to Michael. Through the line came a deep, authoritative voice. "I've heard that you've been researching the past of Unit 9. If you don't want trouble, I advise you to stop." Michael's anger flared. "But I don't fear you." Next day, the truth will be revealed. He saw an unfamiliar vehicle parked close to his home. Throughout the day, the occupants kept a careful eye on him. Michael was aware that he was under threat, but instead of backing down, he contacted the press. "I am forwarding copies of the journal to them and additional documents he had found. Even if he were silenced, He wanted to make sure that there would be no burial of the truth. Notwithstanding the tension, Michael concentrated on Rex. He kept applying the therapeutic techniques. Rachel had suggested forest walks. Became a tranquil haven for them both. Rex started to regain confidence slowly. He is brightening his eyes. Every time Michael threw an old ball into the tide, Rex approached Michael one morning and placed his head on his lap gently. Rex had never taken the initiative before. Contact of affection. Since returning, Michael felt a wave of emotion wash over him. Whispering, he stroked Rex's head. "Rex, you're back at last." Over the next days, the truth of Unit 9 was first revealed by the press. The entity powering the project was brought to light, and justice was faced by many involved. While it was not possible to completely erase the scars, Michael knew that what he had done was correct. Rex and Michael's The Power of Love is exemplified by stories. Their journey teaches us patience and loyalty. Regardless of how painful the past, was the real link between animals and humans. Even the deepest wounds can be healed. Rex and Michael didn't simply discover who they were again. They discovered a new life where there is always light. At the darkest end of the tunnel, if this story had an impact on you, pause to consider your loyal companions. Dogs or loved ones with dogs who has been with you through the highs and lows of life. They deserve our gratitude, love, and care. We appreciate you reading and experiencing this story. If it spoke to you, kindly like and share it. Disseminate to others this compassion message. Additionally, remember to subscribe to our channel. Additional inspirational stories. The biggest inspiration for us is your support. Permanently provide intelligible content. Thank you one more. I hope you and your friends be surrounded by love and hope at all times.